Shall I do my trip report?
Yes, you shall.
The good news and the bad news is I didn't take notes.
What?
The good news means that I won't have an excruciatingly long list to make sure that I tick off and cover.
Yes. The other good news is we might be able to call you out on stuff which you clearly misremember. That'd be great.
That's true.
I'd like that.
The bad news is I'll just meander around but anyway.
Oh, and then there was this time when...
You saw the walruses. You ever guys smell walrus breath? It's just the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
All right. Can't remember. Oh, yeah. Well, once a year.
He opens with that. Just right off the hop.
Once a year, we go down to Portland, which is coming to an end now. We go down to Portland to see Christine Sinclair play for the Portland Thorns.
Coming to an end.
Well, this is the last year that she plays professional soccer. So we went down to watch her, but we thought, well, what are we going to do for a fall vacation? Let's actually go back to the Oregon coast, which is kind of a popular vacation destination, I'd say, for people from BC. It's pretty accessible. You can be down there in about 5.5 hours driving time, maybe. And so that's what we did. We had a fabulous trip. It's nice going when you're retired. It's nice going in the fall. Because, the previous times we've gone, there's usually a little bit of a time pressure. There's that old problem that people find is, hey, we have to go down to California anyway. Let's take the coast instead of I-5. And usually what happens then is you discover that, holy smokes, it takes a long time, right? So you end up having to kind of depart the coast. But in our case, we were going in the fall, late September, early October.
So all those tiresome families aren't on the road with you.
Oh, my God. All the times that we're driving and kind of making our way with good time, I was thinking, I cannot believe how bad this would be in July.
Yeah.
Like, just amazing how slow everyone drives. And I myself would find myself driving slow as well. But anyway, highly recommended. If it's been a while since you've been there, or I've never been, definitely take a trip down the coast. We drove straight to Astoria, named after John Jacob Astor, who was sponsoring the fur trade. Basically, that's as far south, I think, that the Hudson's Bay Company came.
I believe that's right.
And he was an investor in that.
Mouth of the Columbia.
Yeah. And Astoria is a cool little town. It's got all kinds of, a lot of craft beer. A lot of cool little, there's a magic shop there. So Sue was in a used bookstore. There's cool bookstores, everything, right? So I bop over to the magic store and I overhear the proprietor saying to a guy, that's not the first time I've heard that one. And so after the guy is gone, I asked the proprietor, so what was the joke? He says, oh, can you make my wife disappear too?
Jeez, that's just sad. So sad.
So in the meantime...
Okay, so listeners, if you're out in the world telling jokes like that, have a word with yourself, okay? Get a grip.
It's kind of like when I said to my hand surgeon, Doc, will I be able to play piano?
God, Rich. Oh, my God.
So Sue wandered back in, and we had a nice half-hour conversation with the guy that runs the magic shop. He's connected.
Like adults. Yeah.
Astoria is a town of 10,000, right? So,
it's really small.
His wife's, I think she was on an executive or something, or a board of the city or something. I don't know. But anyway, he just had his finger on the pulse of the whole town, what's happening with homeless people there and all that kind of stuff.
They got a homeless problem in a town of 10,000.
Yes, that's right. And he was pretty upset as a business owner that they were having, I think, a safe injection site nearby. And so what was happening, of course, were tents were starting to spring up and problem everywhere, I guess. I mean,
did he offer any opinions about how to solve that issue?
Yeah, if they could just get a job. He's kind of a right-wingy guy.
I was just getting the reason I asked is one of those crazily simplistic, we've tried this 1,000 times and it doesn't work. Yeah. Oh, just plow the tent cities under. That'll teach me.
Well, the thing is, the guy clearly had a huge amount of energy. He had a whole magic store going and it was in good shape, and he was just packing up to to head out because he was going over to give a magic show.
I was going to say,
a
show.
And just a few doors down at a restaurant or something. But he was just talking about this and that. And you could tell that he was a mover and shaker, or I don't think that's the right term. He was a go-getter.
There you go. That's
and so people who are like that, they view others who aren't like that as if only you would just straighten out and just, stop taking drugs, and then you'll have some money and get a haircut and all that stuff.
You're depressed, you say? Well, why don't you just cheer up?
We've known people like that.
Totally.
Our whole lives. And, anyway, so that was a fun conversation to have. And on from Astoria, then
one Astoria question. Was it just he set it up because he wanted a trading post, or was it set up as some sort of utopian
Lewis and
thing?
Clark ended up there, and I think that had something to do with it. I don't know when Astor was alive, 1800s, right?
Yeah, and I think Lewis and Clark were like 1812 or something like that.
Maybe. They went there on behalf of Thomas Jefferson. When was he president? 1790 or something.
Oh, I thought Astor was on the Titanic.
He was. Yeah. Did he go down with the Titanic?
I think so, yeah. But that's 1912.
Okay, so that would be one of his descendants.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, that was all pretty fun. There's like 3 different places their claim to fame is the end of the Lewis and Clark expedition. And so it depends on how you view it. Okay, they ended here, but then they set up a fort there.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But and then on down the coast, and we went to Cannon Beach, is the classic tourist town there. Beautiful, beautiful place. Not like Seaside is tourist town, and it's just up from Cannon Beach. Cannon Beach is just spectacular. It's got those great big rock stacks that are in the ocean. And I just got to say something about those rock stacks. You've seen those pictures, right?
Yeah.
They're not just there. They're all the way up and down the top half of the Oregon coast. So get this. So about 15 million years ago, the volcanic mass that is now Yellowstone Park was west a bit, because that mass has been moving over the...
Sorry, west of where the coast is now?
No, west of where Yellowstone is now. It was more into Idaho, kind of west of Montana a bit. It blew 15 million years. The lava from that made it all the way to the coast, to what is now the coast. Like, I used to think it was just down the Columbia Valley, but it was even bigger than that. And then even further than that, let's say a few kilometers off the coast, that whole northern part of Oregon was all just lava, basalt, right? Like, it was lava. The amount of time to cool that volume of lava, it's not a month, it's not a year, it's not even a century, maybe a century. It cools down, roughly those kind of time frames. Now you got basalt, just thick lava. And there's a few cool formations that happens when it cools, those little kind of octagon columns you'll see in various places in BC.
Depending on how rapidly it cools and stuff like that, yeah.
Now you got the ocean, which was like higher than it is now. So all this lava's flowing underwater. And now you got the ocean working at it. And the ocean makes quicker work of the lava than... like over 14 million years, it pushed it back a couple kilometers or more. I don't know how far. I don't have that clear in my mind. But these sea stacks that are left are just remnants of this massive explosion.
So does that mean there's sea stacks under the water further out?
Yeah. Well, they got worn down. And further in are future sea stacks.
Yeah.
Because the most famous one's Haystack Rock in Cannon Beach. Just, I don't know, it's 50 feet high or some 80 feet. I don't know what it is. Big lump of lava just sitting there. You go look at it and they say it's going to be gone in 2,000 years. That's how quickly things change, right? So there's 2 big different time scales we're talking here. This lava flow is a huge event, but any kind of thing that you see there is going to be gone.
That's fun. In geologic terms, the lava event is still contemporary.
Yeah.
And it's just at the tail end of it now.
Yeah.
And then you get to speculate about how many other geologic events on that scale have there been that we just don't know anything about.
Yeah.
They talk about continental drift, those kind of scale of things.
Right. So anyway, we were in Cannon Beach, and I happened upon a candy store there, and there it was. I sent you guys that video of, I'll put it in the show notes, of a saltwater taffy machine.
Ka-chunka, 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 ka-chunka.
Yeah, like what was that? 4 or 5 per second.
Yeah.
That machine is just fascinating. If you look close at that video, you'll see whatever the base material for the taffy is on some big rolls, and it's coming in, and there's a twister machine. There's the papers to twist around the taffy.
All those kind of machines are fascinating.
And then it's boom, boom.
All those packaging machines they're just wild.
Industry on the move.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Love those automation videos. We also got to watch the Tillamook cheese factory. That's another example of it. You get to see the whole cheese making process and the machines that do it.
You should have just gone to a steel factory and just had the trifecta.
That would be fun too. So anyway, I brought you guys some taffy from the Oregon coast.
So we couldn't finish it all before you got here. Are you kidding? A whole bag each? Oh, nice. Thank you very much. I thought we were supposed to take one and try it. Now look at
saltwater
this.
taffy made on the Oregon coast. And let me just see. I'll give you. How about I tell you the flavors, and then you can guess what they are as you eat them. But I don't know if you want to eat them now or
think we should
later.
not eat
Is
them now.
saltwater taffy an Eastern thing?
No, it was out here too. It became trendy probably 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, but no, before that though.
What's the origin story on saltwater taffy? Is that what you asked?
Like,
No
isn't
idea.
Okay, Jay, I'm glad that you asked.
Here we go.
The region of origin for saltwater taffy is Atlantic City, New Jersey. So you got that right.
I wonder what the hell did they have to do with anything?
Well, the word taffy, referring to the boiled candy, so it's boiled candy, is first known to have appeared in the United States circa 1817.
I think you should have worked in I Think You'll Find.
A taffy pull is a social event around the pulling of taffy that was popular in the 1840s through at least the 1870s.
Heard of those before, yeah.
United States, saltwater taffy is a variety of soft taffy, originally produced and marketed in Atlantic City, New Jersey area of the Jersey Shore, starting in the 1880s. In the late 19th century, appellation most likely originated in New Jersey. Still widely sold on the boardwalks in Atlantic City, nearby Ocean City, and other beaches through the U.S. like Cape Cod. It's also popular in Atlantic Canada and Salt Lake City, Utah, and apparently Oregon didn't make the cut in the Wikipedia article, but it's big there as well.
I wonder what...
I think there's a lot of salt water available in coastal areas.
I'm stuck on Utah.
Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City.
Okay, so... Do you really think that it's made with salt? Well, somebody just dips a bucket in the Atlantic Ocean and they start making taffy with it?
I think if you're making
salt.
I think if you're making to scale, you want a good source of salt. And so maybe it's big in Siberia too. The salt mines.
I don't think it probably has anything at all whatsoever, slightly, even moderately, to do with anything other than, can you get like 2 tablespoons of salt in a 5-gallon can or something like that? You know what I mean? I don't think it's not made of salt.
There's a fair amount of salt in it. You can taste the salt in those.
Oh yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Shut up, Moby.
Oh yeah, really.
You're not.
Salt's important.
Kind of like that caramel popcorn that's salty and.
Yeah, okay.
What flavor is yours, KJ?
I'm guessing butterscotch.
Oh, yes, that would have been one of the flavors I chose.
Utah.
So there's a play called Saltwater Moon.
Mm-hmm. And does taffy feature prominently because, saltwater moon, taffy, right away?
I think there was something about taffy in the story, and that was in Newfoundland, Labrador, don't you know?
Okay, well, I got you guys. I won't tell you that one because you should figure that one out on your own. Pralines and cream.
These are the flavors you're running through.
Butter.
Butter must be just this pure yaller one.
Chili mango.
Oh, that's going to be a red one.
Green and orange.
I got a green and white here. There's the green and orange.
Mango.
Huckleberry.
Got to be blue.
Purple
blue
and white.
Blue. Blackberry swirl.
Oh, I see the blackberry syrup. Blue and white is huckleberry?
Blue and blue is huckleberry, although maybe there is white. I just didn't see that on the picture. Lemon.
Yeller.
And I think there's probably a couple others in there.
Here's one that looks like sushi. Like it's got a very thin layer of green on the outside, like the rice, and then all sort of pink on the inside, like salmon.
Yeah,
That's the mango chili, isn't it? What are the dark red ones?
I might have gotten you a cinnamon.
Well, thanks, RJ.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
They're
I will be
delicious.
enjoying those. I'm not doing it now for the sake of our sensitive listeners out there in Courtney,
Yeah, that's true.
but I will.
For our misophonic listeners.
There you go. Thank you. I'll never remember that word. I just never will. But there
I
it
guess
is.
if you think of slurping miso soup, maybe that's a mnemonic.
Maybe that'll help. Yeah.
Anyway, down the coast we went, and we were going to go to the sea lion caves, but then we decided we'd see sea lions for free in Newport. And I posted a video of that to my Facebook page. Had a really nice 1-hour tour of the dunes in Newport. Every other time we've gone was back when we kind of questioned spending money on stuff and whether we would even want to go on a dune buggy. You know, like it's not the kind of thing that appeals to me because I would be worried about crashing the dune buggy and kind of. So, but they have a tour for people like us that don't want to have our spines kind of realigned.
Don't want to be getting air.
Right. So it's basically kind of like a bus with great big wheels. And so we all get on the bus, and Sue and I bought the first ticket. So we got to sit in the front seat, which was nice. And those dunes are spectacular. Like just so cool to see. Like
We really have crossed the frontier, haven't we? I think we have.
And we got in the front seat.
We got the nice seats at
best
the front
seats in
and
the
talked to the
house.
driver the whole time.
Well, yeah, I mean, I do that anyway. When we were in Niagara
I do it
going on the
too.
Maid of the Mist thing where you get to ride
Yeah.
the boat right in there, I kind of cozied up to a couple of people. So tell me, how do you get the best seats? Where are they and all that stuff?
Well, that's different. It's the. I'm just laughing because that's all stuff I do, right? That whole
Yeah,
thing.
you worry about where you're sitting and all that
and
stuff.
you're all happy when you get the old folks like sanitized version of whatever experience. So there's no risk, no danger.
But they were good about all the warnings. They basically said, make sure you're dressed warm because it was a beautiful day. It was, by the way, the weather on the whole trip was what could be better. Late September, early October, almost every day was either sunny or partially cloudy. Only one rainy day on the whole trip.
Now, the pictures you put up on Facebook were spectacular, and Sue especially really took some nice ones. Ooh,
Oh,
boy.
she did, yeah.
There's some really great shots.
Yeah. So, so I found that, like, sure enough, when you get to the top of some of those dunes, the wind is just whipping. I don't know what you call that phenomenon, but it's faster even than standing on the beach. And so I would have my hood over the top of my head and my jacket zipped up over my mouth, and it would be blowing into my face. And now I couldn't really breathe properly because the jacket was blowing so hard into my face.
Wow.
And I needed 2 hands for my camera and all that kind of stuff. Anyway,
Wow.
It's just too much, but it was really quite awesome. And he showed us where all the dune buggies crash.
When you do the action selection, like you rent your own dune buggy and you try to get air off the top of the dune.
Well, yeah, there's a couple things. There's people who live around there that have dune buggies. And then there's people that go and rent dune buggies. There's whole clubs, and you would see them all gathering together. It was a pretty cool little scene going on there. But he showed us a certain kind of razor. They call them razors, and it has to do with a dune shape. There'd be a big long slope down and a number of slalom type things. What do you call those? Moguls?
Yeah.
Kind of like moguls. Only the bottom side of the mogul suddenly drops.
Yeah.
It no longer curves down. It's just straight. And we're going up. He says, look up there. He says, these things don't change. Like even when the wind shifts from the south, which rewrites a lot of the dunes, completely change every year.
Yeah.
Once a year, they rewrite the entire dunes as different.
Yeah.
But these ones stay the same because of X, Y, Z. And he says, guys come down over the top all excited, and then they just slam, their fronts just go straight in and they crash, right? So anyway, and there was a lot of a slow shaking of heads coming from our driver / tour guide. And that guy, he was coughing. And I thought, I said, how long you been doing this? He goes, 18 years. I didn't follow up with my thought, which was
Silica
18
dust.
years of breathing the sand, eh?
Yeah, silica dust.
Because silicosis, right?
Yeah.
And so he did have a scarf, which would help because most of the particles are fairly big, right? So I wondered how long he did it without a scarf.
Geez, there's a seemingly innocent occupation. You wouldn't think of a hazard like that with a job like that, really.
Yeah. And then one of our conversations today made me think about the twinned interstate bridge.
Yeah.
And that bridge is the one that crosses into North Portland from Vancouver, Washington. It's a cool bridge because, and I'll put a photo in the show notes, but basically one of the bridges, it's twinned. They're two almost identical bridges. One of them, which is the northbound one, was built in 1912, I'm going to say. So quite old. And then the other one, which is almost identical, when would you think that was built?
1946.
1955. So that's how slowly things changed in those early decades. They decided to twin that bridge, maybe for aesthetic reasons, or maybe just because bridge technology hadn't really come along all that far in 40 years.
Yeah, that's what I think is probably that. They probably just thought, bridge is a bridge is a bridge, you know?
And so the northbound bridge used to be north and southbound.
Yeah.
And it used to have horses and carriages going over it. That's the cool thing. Because we were talking about, KJ was talking about that year,
in
those
between
transitions, right? So there'd be some automobiles, some horses and carriages going north and south.
That is kind of fun to think about, actually. And it's still in service as it was today.
Right. And so then they add the bridge in 1955, and then they put probably back then 2 lanes in each direction. But there was enough bridge deck that now there's 3 lanes in each direction. And another interesting thing about that bridge, that's I-5, man. That's high traffic volumes. They will stop traffic and raise the bridge to let ships up. I'm sure that they don't do that unless it's 3 a.m. So I think if the big ship needs to pass under, I'm sure it must be, okay, well, we can cover you at 4 a.m. tomorrow, or probably more likely at 3 a.m. But then red lights come up, the whole I-5 actually just stops. It's kind of fascinating, yeah.
Didn't Oregon have the bridge that was built aerodynamically wrong, and it did that thing and then actually blew up?
That was Tacoma, Washington.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You're correct. That's really good memory on your part. I wouldn't have got it, but you are right. It was Tacoma.
Yeah, and there is that bridge. That you come down from Seattle, you go through Tacoma, bending to your right, and then there's a bridge that goes the other way up the peninsula across the Georgia Strait or whatever they call it.
But the one that went was a cable bridge, and it did that, what is it, synchronized oscillation, something like that.
Yeah, it got into an oscillation pattern, yeah. All right, and that's going to be it for my trip report because I didn't actually take notes, and I think I could blab on and on and on. Well, but as is my tradition, every 10, 15 minutes I'll say, oh, another thing that happened on the trip.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll splice it in.
It's another editing miasma.
All right, what do we got? I got the basic stuff we learn ridiculously late in life. Which for me could be a regular segment.
Well, I was thinking about that.
There's things that I learn that should have been learned when I was 8, or certainly by the time I was 25. There's a lot of those. I like to think I was 3 when I learned how not to put a shirt on backwards. Would it be like when you're 3 or 4? Sure. That's when, at some point, parents are trying to get kids to put their shirt on themselves, right? And you guys tell me if I'm wrong, but the way I learned that was to look where the label is in the neck.
I think that's what I did.
The collar label. Where is that? Make sure it's going to be on the back.
Do you remember being taught that?
No, I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that that's what would have been taught. I don't even remember teaching our kids, quite honestly.
Me either.
I'm pretty sure that's when you would learn that as age 3 or 4.
Well, also, a lot of times it's buttons or pockets.
Buttons or pockets are on the front, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do those things too. But
Yeah. Often I'll toss my shirt on the bed, ready for me to grab the bottom and just put it on. And that requires me kind of to have a look at where the label is, right? Did you know? I only learned this just now, and I'm very suspicious that this is something that people learn by the time they're 20, if not earlier. If you just pick that shirt up, you know there's the label about washing instructions often down near the seam?
Yeah.
yeah.
Always on the left side.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
So if it's down there and you've kind of forgotten or don't feel like reaching all the way up to check the label, like this shirt is a little bit like that. I know that it's green at the top and back, but it doesn't really have an obvious back and front. Well, sure enough, down here, it's always on the left side, is going to be
Yeah, there it is.
this label.
I've put on a t-shirt at least 10,000 times in my life.
Yes, for sure.
And I think it's fair to say, I doubt if I have ever used the washing instructions as a reference for which way it goes on. It's always the neck or the shape of the neck or a pocket or something else. It's
Right, because
never.
how could you use the washing instructions when you're not aware that they're always on the left? How could you use it?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is I certainly am not aware, and it certainly hasn't been any hindrance. And I kind of wonder how many people that hear this are going to have the same
No,
response.
it's no real hindrance, really. It's just kind of a cool little thing that you discover. Does it save me 3 seconds? If the shirt's already down and I neglected to look where the thing is and there's no collar, I might need to reach down there and have a look. It doesn't save me much. It's just, I just find it interesting.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
I have a number of things in my life that are like that, where something that's obvious to other people, if I'd actually learned that at a young age, it would have been really nice. The other one I had was hose gaskets. I don't know why. You know, when I was a kid growing up, hoses didn't leak. And it's probably because my dad knew the hose gasket trick, or I don't really know. Maybe they just made stuff better back then. But I find that my hoses, like every year, I'm doing a little bit of maintenance to get them to stop leaking where I do connections. And I finally figured out, like I was using wrenches to tighten hoses, you know, to a faucet and leaking still. Okay, I'll just tighten it a little heavier and, oh, leak's gone, done for the year. And then when it's time, like we put hose timers on once a year. So I have to kind of take them off.
You're talking about a
little rubber gasket inside the end
washer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the washer. That's it. Yeah. So I learned that the washers actually have two sides, and one is the wrong side and one's the right side.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
And so I was over tightening and finally I thought, okay, that's it. You know, like 40 years of doing this, right? Let me just, if you look at those washers, almost all of them will have a perfectly flat side and a side that seems to have a little bit of an indentation in it.
Yeah.
That indentation is what the male hose should tighten into.
And that makes sense.
And that will form a better seal because it kind of has a lip that it goes into.
I would have bet
And now
money.
I no longer need to do the stupid wrench.
Now, because my landlord, you know, there's a hose bib right outside my door that I use pretty regularly. And the last time I wanted to disconnect it to unsuccessfully try a power washer that I'd got off the side of the road, I had to go get a wrench. I had to go get vice grips to get the damn thing off.
Because he had tightened it down so much.
He just crammed that thing on there. Now it's on there super tight, but it's leaking anyway. And I think probably my guy doesn't know there's a right way and a wrong way to put the thing in either.
Yeah, so listeners, give that a try. So that's maybe, hopefully, a good example.
That is a good
That might be
example.
useful for people to know. Yeah.
That is a good example. I do think I don't know how many times you've seen online. The last one I remember seeing had something, you know, in a tape measure, it's got that little chrome bit at the very end of the tape.
Yes.
It's got a right angle and it's shaped a certain way.
Meant to kind of grab an edge.
There's about 5 functions built into the way that thing is shaped and the holes it has in it. It does certain things. I can't remember what they were, but I did see this in a video. They're very specific to using a tape measure in construction. Never, ever had heard of them. And this was probably 2 years ago I saw this video. And it just goes on. All those things that are hacks, when you see YouTube
Yes.
content that are life hacks for this,
Yes,
a lot of them
yes.
are a real big stretch, but a lot of them are, these tools have this function built right into them. They're intended to be used this way.
And it's been like that for decades.
And I've been misusing them for my entire adult life. You just kind of think, oh, I just didn't know. There's
Yeah.
a ton of that stuff.
There are a lot of those, yeah.
And it is fun to learn them.
Exactly. It's always a nice little endorphin boost there just to go,
Oh, yeah.
oh.
Well, I am actually tempted to go try that hose bib at home just to have
Yeah,
a
give it a
look.
try, yeah.
Because he's like the connection is all chewed up because everybody's been using vice grips on it, right?
If you don't have, it's nice to have some brand new, nice and rubbery, soft.
Yeah.
When they're super cheap, right? You pay $2 and you get like 12 or something.
Yeah.
If you have those in stock,
100 on
I
Amazon.
think, I think it's important. Like if all you have are old kind of hardened ones, then probably no matter what you do, you're going to have to.
All I'm thinking is I'm going to go home, take it off, flip it over, and put it on again and see if that did
But
it.
when I decided to, okay, fine, I'm going to get to the bottom of this, I loosen it off and the thing is just destroyed because I've been just
Yeah,
cranking on
exactly.
it with a wrench, right? And it's probably gotten down to metal by then.
Yeah. Or another one you see, a life hack thing you see, I don't know where it is, but it's an Asian woman and it's clearly dubbed over and she's talking about stick with me if you want to learn about car stuff. And some of it I kind of question, but a lot of it you kind of think, okay, here's how you use your reverse mirrors. And she tells you, like every car, if you line your mirrors up this way so that the back door handle is in the lower inside corner of your mirror, that's the correct alignment. Or there's just a million of them. Here's how you back into a space properly. Here's what the pillars on your car are for. Again, I think it's kind of a stretch, but she's basically saying if you line up the B and C pillars this way or that way and start turning your wheel at those points, you will always execute a parallel park correctly, right?
Yeah.
And you sort of think, I'm skeptical because I don't think car designers are adhering to some unknown international standard for placement of those pillars and vision. But maybe, I don't know. It's just, that stuff is just everywhere. It's one of the reasons that in your youth you found out that guys who held what you thought were dumb jobs, like ditch diggers at Cominco, you can be a smart ditch digger and you can be a dumb ditch digger because there's a way to do even the simplest job properly and well, and there's a way to do it inefficiently and wrong. Like there is. This isn't a job anywhere that you can not do well or badly.
Well said, Skin.
I know. I'm running for election. That's what it is.
So I gave my P&E report a couple episodes back, and I'd forgot to report back on a basic thing. I think I really enjoyed that P&E trip. Maybe I was just in the right frame of mind. But what they had the big, I think BC Recycles display. And, there's people standing around that would wish that someone would walk up and ask a question, because anyway, I walked up and asked, because I've been wondering, like about 10 years ago now, 8 years, I'd say, I emailed Recycle BC and I said, hey, what's going on with plastic recycling? I want to make sure that I'm not just wasting my time.
Yeah, it's not going out in a barge into the middle of the ocean, is it?
Yeah, and they gave a good kind of response way back when BC was at the time tops in Canada, and that yes, we do make a real effort. So, but since then I've been kind of wondering, because what are the economics of this and everything. But anyway, I asked the question, and she told me that 75% of all plastics that you recycle, that we recycle collectively as a province, do get recycled. And they're done here. They're not shipped away. So they're done right here, because the moment that they ship it away, somebody's going to claim, oh yeah, don't worry, you can audit us. Just warn us before you send the auditors if you don't mind. But it's actually done. And in fact, the Lower Mainland, I think, has facilities. So good news. I didn't ask the obvious follow-on. Oh, do you have a feel for the 75%? How much of it is the film plastic versus the hard plastic versus the plastic containers? So I didn't get a feel for that.
Because wasn't that right around the time we had a deal, or lots of places in Canada had a deal with companies in China that would accept our recycling, and it turned out that all they were doing was burning it, and they stopped accepting our recycling. They canceled those deals because the
that was way
atmospheric dent in China
Long
was
time
just
ago.
way too big. It was how long, do you think?
Well, I said 8 years. That happened around the same time that I asked them the question. And so that's why I wanted to re-ask it, because I wasn't sure if it happened shortly after or shortly before, but it was
Yeah.
well over 5 years ago
Yeah.
that stuff was in the news.
Yeah,
That China started refusing, and we all got the impression that, oh man, there's just who knows what's happening with our plastic now. So good news is they're doing 75% recycling.
which is amazing, because the impression I had at the China time was that we were just shipping the problem off to somebody else, and they were burning it, which made it a collective problem again.
Yeah. Well, I think some locations just aren't recycling. Who knows? Like, it really varies
Yeah.
by where you live. So.
Yeah, because I think back east we had big questions about what was going to happen there now, because they had also been involved in those contracts.
Because we're so used to it that we were in like 12 different motels on this last vacation. And one of the things we do is have a look around, and there's usually no recycling. And
I know Washington State is really bad, or was really bad. You'd go to a gas station and you'd just see pop bottles and beer cans and everything in the garbage.
it's just all there. Yeah.
Did they let you pump your own gas in Oregon?
No, they did not.
No, they did not.
Right. And then so I had to let them do it. And then it's a little unclear, like, do they actually wash your windows? Remember the old days?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They should even check my oil.
That's right. Check
Do
your
they,
own
do they
man.
wear, short sleeve gray shirts buttoned right up with Bob embroidered on the pocket? You know?
Probably, yeah.
Little hat.
It's in Surrey, the same thing, right? You can't pump your own gas in Surrey.
Oh, I didn't know that in Surrey. I knew about
What?
Coquitlam. and
Wait.
Coquitlam
Sorry,
and
Richmond.
Yeah.
Richmond. Coquitlam too, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
What?
You can't pump your own gas in those places. They have municipal rules that say
I didn't know
you
that.
got to hire pimply teenagers to pump your gas for
I
you.
didn't know that.
Now you know. That's why you come to this podcast, Mob.
So the first guy that happened, I unroll my window. I'm a little befuddled. I'm elderly, by the way. Did I tell you that? and it's been so long since I've used one of these like services where they do it for you. Anyway, he takes my credit card. Okay. And then
Goes away.
And then he goes back. He comes back to me and he says, "It needs your PIN." And I had the distinct impression that half the people say, "Oh, it's," and they tell him the PIN. I swear.
And so what did you?
Yeah,
Did
so
you have
clearly
a?
you did not. What did you do?
Did you have a hand thing?
No. He just went to the pumps, which are just like any other pumps.
Oh.
And he pushed my card in, and he comes back. He says, "It needs your PIN." And the way he said it wasn't, "Oh, can you please come over and enter your PIN?"
Well, the tell would be
the
what
way
is.
he said it offered me the opportunity to just give it to him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the tell would be what was his response or expression when you got out of the car and went over and pumped in your numbers?
Well, I'm sure that half the people do it. So
it's-
his response was, "This is normal."
Okay.
I said, "Okay, well, I'll go over and enter it." And he said, "Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you want to be like that." No, he didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't say that. But
Exactly.
that whole process went
Yeah.
through my mind was, what does he think of this?
That's
Am I
fully what I-
rare? Am I
Yep.
common?
That's fully what I would
Anyway,
be
I went
thinking.
and entered my PIN.
Does
The truth is, if I lived down there, I probably would just start giving him the PIN.
Well, what's he going to do? Memorize your card?
Exactly. Like, is he going to tell the buddies, "Okay, guy's got the license plate so-and-so. I've got the PIN. You follow them, find a way to steal the card." There's just no economy in that.
Or is he
right?
just whipping his phone out on the way over to the pump, take a
Yeah.
quick
It's
picture
a
of your
lot
credit
cheaper
card?
just to hit someone over the head with an iron bar and then take the card. Or after you've watched them. Anyway.
No, because me and Jerome when we went down to Texas. We went through, and of course, I don't let anybody put gas in my truck because it's dangerous.
Oh, right.
Right, Skin?
Yes.
So there's a method. So you had to get out and
Yeah,
supervise.
I said I can't let you do that. I have to listen to it. I actually have to put my ear down to the thing to listen to it come up.
Yeah, because
Oh, all right. They would say.
they must hear it now and then.
So I went back and did it. And in the meantime, Sue did the windows. But we had that whole question was, could we have asked him to do the windows? And I think we could have. How about check the oil?
You should have.
I should have.
Even when we were younger men 5-6 years younger, it was pretty rare for somebody. It wasn't always that they would do your windshield and ask to check your oil. It did happen, but it wasn't every time.
It was the 60s, though, was very common, right?
Well, but we didn't start driving until the 70s.
Right, 70s even, because cars back then often needed the oil checked.
Yeah.
Whereas modern cars, like I've never, ever had to add a liter of oil to my 2018 car. So it's 5 years old now. Like, I think if you bought a new car in the 70s, you'd be adding oil within a year or two, right?
Yes, you would. And if you were running an old crappy car like I did for my entire life and still am,
Weekly.
you'd be checking that oil pretty regular.
How about the Prius?
Prius, no. It's very good. I don't.
Yeah.
I have checked it a couple times, and it's rock solid, that thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it'll go on for, because now I'm all complacent.
So that's a 13-year-old car.
Yeah,
14-year-old
14.
car, yeah.
And your car, by the way, 6 now.
Yeah, thank you. I'm still in 2023. 2023. 2023, is that what I should say?
No, 2023 is fine.
Okay.
Damn it. But yeah, that I would be, if somebody started washing my windshield, in fact, now, I think I'd be a little uncomfortable. Like, ooh, this is weird.
Yeah.
Just getting guys to pump your gas is weird.
What, when you want money now? Do I have to give you money?
Yeah. Do I have to give you a tip?
Also, cars are weird now anyway. Like, I wanted to change the wiper blades on my Camry. And by the way, I hope this doesn't bore you guys, but it turns out that the dealership would have done it for me for like only $8 a blade. How's because they actually take the rubber out from the original model blades and put a brand new rubber in.
Oh.
So you never have to replace the big plastic assemblies anymore.
Oh. Who knew?
But it's too late for me now because I already bought the third-party things, and they won't do it for the third-party things. So anyway,
this is me with my mouth just hanging open. This is news to me,
I've
man.
kept the original Toyota ones because I'd bought these Costco ones and I had anyway. So now I've got the original Toyota ones. So next time I'm going to put the Toyota ones back on and have them replace the rubber anyway.
100%. Like listeners, go back, stop what you're doing. And wind this podcast back about a minute and listen to what he just said. I mean, that's actually pretty important.
Be that as it may, everything's too complex on new cars. Like, I'm kind of glad it is complex in a way. Like a lot of
now
things
you're excused.
just work better, but you can't just change the blades. You head out to the front of the car and you reach to, you got to pull the whole blade up, right? Well, it's retracted down below the metal. I mean,
There's no doing that.
What? Click, click. So then you got to pull out the 800-page manual,
Yeah, to tell you how to get it to stop.
Go to the index, find wipers, and it says, okay, so here's what you got to do. You press the, I can't remember exactly what the magic was, but I think you press and hold the on button for 5 seconds and then double press it one more time.
Can't remember.
And then the two blades come up far enough that now you can go out of the car and raise them up, right?
That at least is not a new problem.
You didn't YouTube it before you manualed it?
Well, the manual, I could have YouTubed it. But then I'd have to do 2018 Camry Hybrid, and they'd go, here's how you do it on a 2014, and then I'd have to wonder, will it work right? But anyway, so I changed the blades. But I found, as I'm discombobulated, kind of, I'd let the blade rest on the windshield while I'm doing some other stuff. The metal part.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Well, I was super careful. I just put it down. There, just touch the windshield. Do what I need to do, pick it up, put it on, all good. And then when it's all done, I'm looking up at the windshield, and over on Sue's side, there's two tiny little glass scratches. So I managed to scratch the windshield. I've changed blades 20 times. Okay, 12 times in the past. This is the first time I've ever had any issue. It's just getting harder and harder.
I wonder what the dealership thinks about somebody who books a service appointment to just get their wiper blades.
No,
changed.
they just throw it in during the normal service.
What
they ask,
normal
do
service?
you want us to? Yeah, well, that's the thing. I still take it in for regular services because there's still a bit of the warranty left, and I know that technically you don't need to do that to still get your warranty, but it's just kind of safer.
And that's why you get offered the $8 deal. Like a regular guy off the street, so I got these.
Yeah,
here.
that's right. I only have one thing for you to do today.
Well, that's what I was thinking of. You know, you book an appointment. Oh, how can I help you? Change my wiper blades. Are you shitting me? Really? You're going to make what? Are you going to come in 2 weeks from now at 1:30 p.m. to get your... Come on, man.
My guess is that they would do it.
But I would love to know
And they would
also-
do it happily because it's the old loss leader.
Yeah, exactly.
They do a lot of that stuff. First time you visit any repair shop, you think it's a big deal. They find the problem for you and it's only $20.
Yeah.
The third time you use their services, I'm sorry, man. I got to tell you, but the rotundo rotor is gone. And that serpentine chain.
Your Canuter valve, it's pretty weak. It's a $6,000 job, but, you know, it's either that or a new car. I'm sorry.
We're not even talking phantom power here.
Nice.
And we have to special order the 3/4 inch putty for that other part. The sky crane.
3/4 inch putty. Well done, you guys. You're on fire. Yeah, no, that is pretty. I wonder if you can just order the rubber yourself.
Yeah, you can. In fact, he said, you can do it. It's just tricky. And I believe it. You know, you can imagine they need to have that wedged in pretty strong so that it doesn't kind of start working its way out with each motion. So you can just imagine that you kind of got to maybe grab a pair of pliers, pull it out, and then feed it in. Like, I don't like that kind of work.
No, it'd be pretty fiddly for sure.
Yeah,
you
fiddly
would think. But
like, how do you, like, maybe feed it in a way, then get your pliers and start to pull it up, and then you rip it a bit, and you go, oh man, I should have had the dealership do it.
It's all about YouTube. YouTube would make that all dreamy. I've been looking at YouTube videos about how to defog your headlights.
Oh,
I'm this close.
are your headlights foggy?
Yeah, they're all, it's a 13-year-old, 14-year-old car. 13, I'm in 20.
Is that just like the scratches on the plastic front?
Yeah, I believe so. On one of them, it's clearly too much heat from the inside.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of boiled the lens on the
You got to
headlight.
take your engine out to replace the...
No doubt. Sorry, Canuter valve, man. Canuter valve malfunctions, you get foggy headlamps. I can't help you. Here's a fun note. $5,000 for one headlight for a BMW X5. You know those?
Yeah.
$5,000 for the headlight assembly. It's just absurd. Anyway.
That's including installation, right?
No, that is just the part.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding.
I heard the Rivian was like 20,000. It was just some insane number just to get a headlight replaced because
people.
Yeah.
Like for that part, because of body shop, right? I'm dropping parts at Classic Collision on Pemberton. I'm just chatting with the guys because all the guys working that place are old as we are. And the guy says, because I was delivering a headlight for an Atlas and it was $1,000 almost. I said, take this thing off my hands right now. I don't want to touch it anymore. If something goes wrong, I'm out $1,000. That's like a couple months' salary. The guy laughs. He says, see that X5 over this? Yeah, $5,000 for the headlights. I said, what? Just absurd. Anyway, related to cars, I know this is a bit of I'll get back to defogging the headlamps because I think I'm going to try it. Actually, you have to use sandpaper, I believe.
Super fine grain, right?
Yeah, you start at like 180, 200, 300, and you go all the way up to 3,000 or something like that.
I would have thought a polish job would do it.
No, in fact, that is what the polish sellers want you to think.
Oh.
That's the final step. You have to, like you said, you get all the way up to 3,000 grit sandpaper.
Right.
Very light, crosshatch thing, and then you do the polishing with the stuff they sell.
You're talking the outside of the...
Yeah. Which is why the inside fog on one of my headlights, which is clearly caused by heat, light bulb heat, is an issue, right? What am I supposed to do with that? I can't polish inside. Anyway, only vaguely related. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you guys, but I've had a years-long aspiration to own a Lexus LS 400, which is a Grandpa Mobile Deluxe.
What kind of car is it? A sedan?
It's a 4-door sedan. It's got a 8-cylinder, I believe it's a V8 engine in it. And it is renowned for its build quality and durability.
Sort of a Toyota Crown kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. Yeah. Toyota, those Centuries, the limos, same kind of idea. I've seen a few of these things, and they really, like even the paint. You look at the paint on them, and you just think, oof, really nice. So one of those 1996 LS 400 came up for sale today, $10,500. And I was this close. The pictures, the interior's in really good shape, body's in really good shape. It's some, I think, young man who probably got his grandpa's car.
Yeah,
lives in North Van. He says he's had it for a while. Said I put in new battery, flashing LED lights in the interior, and some kind of speakers like Polaris speakers or something like that in the back. You kind of think pimp my ride sort of thoughts.
Yeah.
But the pictures, it looks pretty stock. And I won't do it. He said he's selling it because gas costs are killing him.
Yeah.
But the big drawback with those things is they use a timing belt, not a timing chain. And you got to change the belt every 100,000.
Yeah, at least.
And it costs you a couple grand to do that.
Yeah.
The thing, though, the other part of that is it's a non-interference engine. So if that belt breaks, it at least doesn't destroy your engine. It just means the engine won't run. If I was driving across Canada next year, I would have gone to the line of credit and bought that thing.
But the gas costs.
Yeah, but what a ride.
No tomorrow.
Just cushy leather seats, smooth, quiet, powerful, reliable.
Hey, Florida goes underwater. It's not your problem.
Yeah. What the hell? Several states and provinces can't all be wrong, can they? It was just an aside. I just was very excited about that car for no other reason than I've wanted one forever.
Yeah.
Oh, just a quick note. I was discussing dating apps with one of my daughters recently.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been on a dating app quite a while. I don't even know how long, quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, yeah, I think all dating apps should be called What's Left. Which I thought was really funny. What's left?
That would be great to actually start one called that.
Because leftover women in China and people of a certain age, like if you're 40 and you don't have baggage or something, that's your baggage, right?
I don't understand the leftover women in China.
It's the same thing. If you're 30 or more in China and have not been married, you are considered beyond marriageable age and you are left over. And they have trouble finding mates because they're too old at 30 something, the hell. And they're called leftover women.
Is that something you get from your videos you watch?
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. So it might be more historical or?
No, because I think. You believe
that you think that.
There's some chance that it's not my imagination that I had this conversation with somebody at dance.
Well, that's prevalent in the K-dramas, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, you're 29.
Right.
You have to get married.
Yeah, the pressure to have kids.
So the whole old maid concept from our 70s and earlier is still kind of prevalent in some countries.
Still active in China, apparently.
Yeah. Okay.
But what's left? And in here...
What'sleft.com.
Yeah. Here, it's like your baggage, right? You got kids. You've had a couple of divorces. There's something fundamentally wrong with you. That's why you're on this dating site. Is your what's left.
Okay, baggage.
Yeah. Which is really awful. I mean,
Anyway, yeah.
That was it. That was all it was. I just thought it was a really funny term to use, what's left. Now let me see. What else? What else have we got on we've been using our list. Here's one for you. Whole different thing. A little bit on the more morbid side. My friend, I'm not even going to say his usual tag, but he...
Not a listener?
Yeah. He... not a listener. There's about billions of people that it could be, but everyone will know who we mean when we say not a listener. He had an uncle pass recently, but just before that happened, I believe maybe it was his grandma, I don't know, somebody in his life who was very old, took a fall in the bathroom, awkward fall, got caught between the toilet and the wall or something like that, couldn't move. Paramedics arrived, and he said the first thing they asked when they came in the door, is there a DNR in place? So like this person was there. They were, I believe, conscious. They just were hurt and couldn't get out. And the first thing is there a DNR? And, you know, I started thinking about it. I thought, what, is that just a bad call on the part of that paramedic? Or is there something about their training that just says, look, if you got an old person, like a really old person in your 90s, get that out of the way first in case something about what you do goes sideways.
Right. And most of our listeners know DNRs do not resuscitate.
I had to ask, but yes, thank you for that. It is a do not resuscitate order.
Yeah.
And I just thought, if I knew that that was a thing that they were going to ask, I think I would tell everybody around me that I care about, look, I do have a do not resuscitate, but whatever you do, don't disclose that to the first responder. Oh, there is? Okay. And they just pick you up and just fling you into the back of the thing and drive away. They're super careless with their treatment because, you know, what the hell? They don't want to live anymore anyways.
But you know why they ask in reality. It's just kind of fun to say that, but it's important for them to know, because if you're in the car, as they like to call the ambulance the car, these guys, if you're in the car and you go and you slip into a coma, they have ways to kind of get you back out of it. Or if you're in the car and you actually stop breathing, they will start doing the whole CPR thing. But if you have a DNR, they won't. And they need to know that.
Well, and that did lead me to thinking, I had similar thoughts, but it led me to also thinking, what are the boundaries? So let's just say they get you out from between the toilet and the wall and they load you in the car and you're in there and you start to have some sort of thing, something.
Yes.
And ordinarily they know that they can resolve this thing. Like it's heart arrhythmia, let's say. Yes. And they can resolve it with a shot of adrenaline usually. It's not like, well, if there's a DNR, is that off?
That's right.
Like, is it just don't touch this person?
Yeah, people don't normally put a DNR in until they're getting super late stage, right?
That's what I would have thought.
But if this person's very elderly, they might have a DNR in place and you got to follow it, which is, like you say, that would be pretty unfortunate if they did follow it, but it's on you or the people who are helping you do this stuff to write your DNR in a way, right?
But that raises another question. Are they standard or not? I don't know.
Yeah, I would think that there's probably kind of standard forms that you can borrow, but you can write them differently. Like you could write, do not resuscitate if hospitalized, for example, and the following conditions happen if heart stops. But you would think or if I stop breathing, do resuscitate, but not if my heart stops. I'm sure you can have some conditionals on it.
But you got to believe that that's not practical at all. There's no way those first responders are going to read everybody's DNR before they begin any kind of treatment. No chance. So like if you have an allergic reaction in the car, your throat closes up, sorry, no DNR, choke out. What happens?
The more I think about this, it's weirder all the time that these first responders actually say that to somebody who's just fallen.
Well, that's why it struck me as very odd that the first thing
somebody got sued.
I guess,
but there's probably one lawsuit in the whole province where the guy's resuscitated and the guy sued because I have a DNR in place.
Yeah, but don't you think though that there's just an ocean of questions under there?
Yeah, you'd think that would happen when you're in a hospital bed, in hospital with machines and shit.
Yeah, like Dad did a DNR at some point. This is, there's only a week left at most, kind of thing.
Yeah. And that's where I would expect that to, like, I don't want to be on breathing apparatus when I'm not conscious and I'm never going to regain. I mean, I don't want to be in a vegetative state indefinitely. That's just, to me, really dumb.
Or a
Just-
state of great pain would be another
Yeah.
example. Yeah.
But the idea that, I just think the things that could happen that could potentially be really horrible, that are you just really supposed to just let it happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really? Because they got a DNR?
Or the heirs are there and see, he has a DNR.
Yeah. Just let her bleed out. There's a DNR in place. You're lying on the ground going, help me. I don't know
He has
how
a
it works.
DNR and will as well.
I want to revoke my DNR.
Revoke. What is he? He's croaking like a frog?
But
What?
you would think they have to be standardized, because otherwise, how would those guys know what to do and not do?
Yeah,
I just no idea. Anyway, it was just a little fun thing here in the autumn of our lives for us to ponder in the long, quiet nights.
I noticed on our vacation that it's getting more and more rare for motels and hotels to stock the Rubbermaid bath mats, the traction mats,
the anti-slip
Have you
mats.
noticed that?
I have not,
seems
because
to,
I don't have as much motel experience as you do, RJ.
yeah, it seems to be a thing of the past almost. And I'm just going in there going, I won't slip. And I think some of the baths have been treated a little bit, the bottoms.
There you go.
The thing about that treatment is it can't be really coarse, because A, it'll bother the soles of your feet. B, people actually still do take real baths, and you don't want your bum sitting on something that's
Sandpaper.
scratchy, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I believe you're onto it, though. That has to be it. Because it would be insane to just have a regular,
slippy.
just insane.
Yeah, so I think there's some kind of magical coating
Yeah.
that it's matte in a way, but it's not scratchy.
And you can clean it, and you don't have to take it out because it's all grody like a mat would be. It's way cheaper for the...
Oh, no,
know.
I do agree, though. Yeah, those things that you have to unroll them, put
Yeah.
them down.
The maintenance on those must have been brutal.
I think so.
Just throw them in the dishwashers again.
Just put them in a vat of lye or something. Oh, dude, don't make me touch this. No, it's a coating. You got to be right about that. I have noticed it's not a thing in Europe. Who knows what they do over there? I don't know. The last time I stayed in a lot of places was in Europe, right? And
Yeah.
I didn't notice any of them having bath mats.
Oh, and
But
they're
it was
all
always-
weird over in Europe, those showers.
That's what I mean. Everything's weird over there.
The
So,
showers, like, I know, I'll just put like 2 feet of glass and then have a great big opening where all the water just pours onto the floor.
yeah. And then I'll put a sign on the bathroom door that says, please clean up after yourself.
Yeah, right.
So everything's weird over there.
And so you use one of the towels and you realize, now we're out of towels. Now it's just a nightmare. That whole Europe thing, it's overrated.
But the history's so good.
Now, PJ, I don't know if I said maybe take some notes. You didn't really need to. That HMS Victory video is pretty amazing. But let me ask you, because I still haven't watched it yet. Does Master and Commander get right into the whole mechanics of how the ship works?
To some extent. It doesn't get right into it, but anytime there's a reference to somebody doing a function related to running the ship, it's accurate.
Yeah, so you're going to learn a bit more about the mechanics of how things work.
Anytime they show or talk about working the guns on a ship like that, it's accurate.
Because I couldn't believe that, you got the captain's room. He's bigwig. And they go, oh, excuse me, Captain. Get out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're going to roll the guns into your quarters and set them up. That was pretty wild.
We're going to stride all the walls torn down. And because of battle tactics, Captain doesn't have any problem with that anyways, because if all his crap is left in there,
Yeah.
the sweet spot for one of those naval battles is to fire your guns through those windows in the captain's cabin and down the length of the ship. Oh. Like you call that raking the stern. Because from the sides, they have all that protection. The thick walls of the ship are that
The
way.
back windows are just
But the back
glass.
windows are just windows, and there's nothing between the back windows and the pointy front part of the ship. Those balls just go through there, and they take out a lot of guys and a lot of weapons, so that's
Yeah.
the sweet spot.
Yeah.
So the captain's okay with having all this stuff taken out, stored below somewhere.
Yeah.
But that show, it's pretty renowned for being historically accurate in terms of people's roles, people's behaviors, the class structures in the ships, all that kind of stuff. It's probably a little fakey among the top 3 guys, the relationships between the ship's surgeon.
Because they got to have a story.
Yeah, the idea that he's a spy and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
That stuff's probably kind of fakey, but
Yeah.
how the people lived on that ship and the things they were engaged in doing, pretty accurate.
So is that a wrap, guys?
I think it is. We've covered all the stuff we need to cover.
We're done, sir.
Okay, then.
Bye, everyone.
See you.